Something very sinister has been happening on RuneScape over the past month, and it's something that has now crossed the line from being just a bug into a service being offered on the black market to individually target and lock players out of their accounts for months at a time. To make it worse, it doesn't look like Jagex is going to be fixing this issue anytime soon. If you're a fan of Reddit, you've seen the drama. People are having issues getting into their accounts because when they go to log in, it says that there's been too many login attempts. This goes so much deeper than what those threads know. This involves doxing, social engineering, database dumps containing RuneScape login information. I've got the inside scoop from the people offering these services, and today we're going to talk about all of it, including how you can protect yourself. Today's sponsor is me. The best way to support the channel is to like the video, but we have Vorcast in stock, Jad ship around the 20th, 25th of November, and there's a couple other pre-orders available on the website. No Christmas sale this year, we don't have enough stock, but you can use the code 20OFF for 20% off your order. It's only available for the first 10 people. Link to the store is in the description. Let's get on with the video. Check out this tweet from Zazima himself. He's saying that he hasn't played RuneScape in months because every time he tries to log in, it says that there's been too many login attempts. Please try again in a few minutes. This is now a bug that can affect any player on RuneScape. When it first cropped up, it was only famous players that we were seeing being targeted. Zazima, of course, Wooks, a friend, just to name a few. The common theme with those guys is that their login usernames were known. The difference now, and why it can affect anybody now, is that the people running these illicit services have found a method to associate somebody's in-game name with their login information. I'll talk about that in just a minute, but first, let's understand how this even works. So here's what I learned. This is only possible because Jagex has a flawed system to prevent brute force attacks on RuneScape accounts. That is, if you try to log into any RuneScape account with an invalid password about 10 times, it'll show this little error message saying that there's been too many login attempts. And if you keep trying to log in with an invalid password for days or weeks at a time, it'll keep the account permanently in this state of not being able to log in. Just so you know how sophisticated this has gotten, the guy running this account locking service in specific told me that he doesn't use bot clients. Instead, he's reverse engineered the RuneScape login API, and he just sends requests directly to that, so he doesn't have to pay for those expensive servers to run a bunch of bots on. He told me this is the same thing that RuneScape brute force programs use. Instead of actually trying to get a correct login though, he just spams an incorrect one over and over again. Of course, the next natural question is how much is this guy charging to lock somebody else out of their RuneScape account for potentially months at a time? And you can see from the image here, the answer is just $1 a day with discounts if these people are buying many days at once. It's absolutely ridiculous that this exists. But it gets so much worse when we understand who's actually using this service, so that's what I asked him next, and he gave me a whole list. I should preface this. The first thing that he told me is that he has never actually asked any of his clients what they use this for, but based on being in the community and knowing the people that are using his service, this is who's actually using it. Number 1, scammers. Number 2, hackers. And number 3, some people in PKing clans. So let's break down each of those and what they're actually using it for. So for scammers, I learned that they're using this for extortion. About a month ago, I uploaded a video exposing one of these scamming rings, and if you remember, in that video, they got me to join a Discord call with them. If you go a little further than I did, and we know this from the MichaelRS video, these scammers will often get you to share your screen on Discord. They do this mainly because they want to see inside your RuneScape account to see how much gold you have left. But during that, now they're actually social engineering their victims into logging out and logging back in, just so they can see their login username. Because at the very end of the scam, when the victim finally realizes that, hey, I'm not going to get anything here, I should stop giving these scammers all my money, they turn to harassment and extortion to try to get even more out of them. Check out the MichaelRS video.
I had to recover your email address with your security answer, and everything is now in my possession. I'm currently changing all your passwords, and I'll give you 30 seconds to cooperate or I'm going to ruin your life. And I'll bring a SWAT team into this call live, mate, and I'll show you.
You know, in Switzerland there aren't any SWAT teams.
Armed forces, mate, same bomb squad, anything.
Bomb squad, it will take weeks to mobilize
Wow.
those.
Right, so this guy is telling him that he's going to send a SWAT team to his house. They're going to hack his RuneScape account, stuff like this. This is one more thing that they're using to extort their victims. They're still saying all of that, but now they're actually locking the victim out of their account and saying, hey, we're hacking it right now. We're going to keep it locked like this until your bank pin resets, so you might as well hand over the rest of your GP, or we're just going to get into your account anyways and take it, and then we're going to bot on it and get it banned. Do you want your account banned? Because we're going to get it banned. Hand over the gold. Nasty stuff like that. Just disgusting. As for the hackers, he told me that they'll actually use account locking services to really lock people out of their accounts while they're trying to hack into it. Not fake stuff like these scammers, like they're actually using it for that purpose. And then there's the PKing clans. And if you know anything about PKing clans, they're very toxic, but they're toxic to each other, so they don't get much attention. He told me that when it comes to these PKers, it's typically purely out of harassment. They just want to hurt somebody in an opposing team. That's it. Here's where things get scary. How are they getting these login usernames? Because without the login username, they can't perform this bug at all. If you have an account that I think is older than 2011 and you've never changed your username, then the username that you use to log in with is your in-game name, but this is by far not the vast majority of players. So of course they're getting it by other means, and this is what I learned. They come from database dumps, which is the scariest. I'll go in depth about this in just a second. Then they're doing it through doxing and social engineering, as we kind of talked about with the scammers. Before we go into detail, there's one flaw that he told me about in the system that actually allows them to confirm that they have gotten the right username. Like the username actually belongs to an account. The problem with the system is that if you try to log into an account, even with an invalid password, if it's a real account with an authenticator on it, it will still prompt you asking for the authentication code. So if I was the person trying to lock you out of your account and I found your username from one of the methods that we're going to talk about in just a moment, and I try to log in for the first time and it gives me that authentication code, then boom, I know that I've got you and I can lock you out of your account. From there, I can just enter a fake authentication code. It'll still try to log in. It'll still say invalid login and the bug still works. It's ridiculous. Okay, let's get back to how they're going from a person's in-game name to their login username. He told me one of those ways is RuneScape database dumps. All sorts of RuneScape related websites, namely RuneScape private servers, botting websites, alongside a bunch of other games that RuneScape players have played in the past anyways, have been compromised. You can search on Have I Been Pwned to see if your email has been exposed in any of these database breaches, but the scary thing is that he linked me to a website somebody set up specifically to collect and search through RuneScape database breaches. So they're going on here, they're entering the in-game username, and if that has been associated with any past database breaches, it will actually show them all the compromised information. That's the IP address, the email address, which is used to log in, and even the password that was exposed in that breach. So of course, from here, once they've got a hit, they'll try that email address as the login username, and if the authenticator pops up, they know they've got the person. Worse, they'll even try the password that it has shown them, and if this victim has never changed their password since that past breach, they're just gonna hack them instead. That's why it's so important to use different passwords for every single website that you use. Of course, this method isn't gonna work 100% of the time, so he told me another thing that they do is that they'll actually go to the social media profiles of the player that they're targeting. He said that often high-level players will have a Twitter account, sometimes even an Instagram account, and what they do is they'll go and try to reset the password for that account because it'll show them a little snippet of the email that they used to create that account, and oftentimes, just from that little snippet, they can guess what the rest of it is because it's, related to their RuneScape account typically. Seriously, let me show you how scary this is. If I go over to Twitter, hit forgot password, type in my username, Crumb OSRS, hit search, it'll say, hey, do you want to reset your password? Send an email to cr *** @g ***. You can guess what this email is. Send an email to crumb@gmail.com or crumbosrs@gmail.com. Something like this. Try all the variations you think it might be, and when you get that authenticator, you know you've got them and you can lock them out of your account. That is another way that they're doing it. Seriously, make sure that your recovery email is not something that can be easily guessed. You need to be super diligent too, because all of the different services will show different variations of what your email actually is. For example, on Instagram, it'll show not only the first letter, but also the last letter of your email. The 1000 IQ move here is to make it look like something that can be easily guessed. Mine looks like it's Crumb OSRS at gmail.com, but maybe it's really Crumb is the coolest person in the world at gmail.com. They're never going to guess that because it's not obvious. And the final way that they're doing it is social engineering. We talked about this earlier with the scammers, getting the victim to go on screen share and having them log out. From there, they'll quickly take a screenshot or whatever of the login username so they can use it against them. It goes a little further than this. Listen to what happened to Wooks. He explains it all.
In case you guys don't know, I messaged Jagex 2 months ago saying they're gonna need to fix this login problem so I can play the league. They didn't fix it. I made a new account so that I could still play the league. I made the username as hard to guess as the password, and this guy has it 5 hours after league launch. He says, "Hello, I'm sorry to say that Jagex straight up gave me your login name when I asked for it." Really?
That's right, these people can just contact Jagex support, act like they're you, and it looks like Jagex support will just hand over your login information. This is honestly an upsetting thing. Jagex under no circumstance should be handing over login usernames without absolute confirmation that you are who you say you are. Besides being able to be used maliciously in this bug that shouldn't exist in the first place, even if they fix this bug, they still can't be handing out that information because hackers can use it to search those database breaches we talked about before and find your password to hack you. If you look on Reddit, and more specifically if you sort the search results by weekly, you'll see that literally every single day there's multiple people that have this too many login attempts bug happen to them. So my next question was, are these people all being targeted maliciously by these account locking services, or are they actually just facing a real bug? His answer to this was that these people are not all being targeted by definitely his service and most likely not by the other services that exist on the market. He told me that the actual amount of people that use these services is very small, and the amount of people that are targeted is likewise very small as well. I believe it, because otherwise the few people running services like this would actually be millionaires with the amount of reports that we see of this bug. From my perspective, anyways, the login system has been something they've been churning away at for the past 2 decades. It's obviously got a bunch of legacy code in there. It's shared between old school RuneScape, it's shared between RuneScape 3, it's shared on the website, it used to be shared even on RuneScape Classic. Jagex's official statement is that they're working on it, but it's not something that's going to happen overnight. They also said that they're not even sure what's causing this bug for the vast majority of people that are just randomly facing it. That being said, because this problem hasn't been fixed, the system is now being abused in a way that it hasn't been abused before. This is something that I think they should dedicate some more manpower towards actually fixing. Just look at this website that this person has created to abuse this flaw to make profit for themselves. Plenty of services get their anti-brute forcing measures right. If someone's trying to log into your Google account, you get a notification about it. It doesn't lock you out of logging into your account. Jagex needs to look at how the other people are doing it and how they're doing it right. Replicate that. It's probably going to take a lot of time and a lot of money, but it's an important issue. Zazima literally can't play. Zazima! Anyways, thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget about those RuneScape figurines. Jads will be in stock about the 20th or 25th of November, depending on how diligent I am. Forecasts are on the website, and I might even have some KBDs back in stock by the 25th. Thank you so much, and until next time, love, peace, and chicken grease.